Fight fans all over the world, it's Daddy P with Slap Happy Gorilla Podcast. What? Teofimo Lopez, Jaron Ennis. Hey, look, I was a little skeptical about this here, but I guess evidently these guys are really in negotiations. And we've been hearing this talk about Eddie Hearn making the offer to Brian Norman and all of that. Man, look, I ain't even on that no more. This Teofimo Lopez, Jaron Ennis talk is kind of drowning out those whispers. You know what I'm saying? Because Brian Norman Jr. got a fight already lined up. I ain't mad at him. He doing this thing. He making his name a little bigger. So, hey, the Boots fight will be a bigger fight, you know? But anyway, well, enough said about that. This really is about Teofimo and Boots. Teofimo and Boots, you know. The big thing, the big word out on the street is about Tim Bradley saying that Teofimo Lopez has what it takes to whip Jaron Ennis. Listen. Now, this right here came at a big surprise as Tim Bradley, you know, he just got inducted into the Hall of Fame. He was a championship level fighter. If I'm not mistaken, Tim Bradley he's a world champion in two different divisions. If I'm not mistaken, Bradley has had a championship at 40 and at 47. I'm gonna go back and check that, but I'm pretty sure of that. But Tim Bradley, man, is you know, you can't really. He knows boxing. He does. Tim Bradley knows boxing. He's not just some novice guy. I don't know how long a lot of y'all been watching boxing, but Tim Bradley, he wasn't no monster, but Tim Bradley was a decent boxer, very decent, respectable type of boxer. You know, had a decent resume. The Manny Pacquiao fight, you know, I watched that fight on pay-per-view. The first one, where supposedly he won. Well, he won. They raised his hand. The referee raised his hand, but you know, it really was pretty much like a robbery. He got hurt in the fight. I think he hurt his ankle, if I remember. And he still kept it, you know, fairly competitive. And then they gave him the head nod at the end, which a lot of people complained about. I was one of them, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, he does have a decent resume. You know what I'm saying? He also, it was a good fight he was in with Ruslan Provodnikov. That was a good fight. Also, he beat Juan Manuel Marquez, outboxed him. You know, so Tim Bradley is like, you know, for his era of fighter, Tim Bradley is a decent fighter, and if nothing else, he does know boxing lesson. So now I'm listening to all of these different takes, and Tim Bradley was actually saying this stuff. Right? You got some YouTubers that have him on the channel, like playing the clip of him telling you, and it's on his own platform. Tim Bradley had it on his own platform. You know, he got his own channel, YouTube channel. He's saying, man, Jaron Ennis, he better leave Teofimo Lopez alone. He really was saying it. So I'm like looking at this like, really, Tim? Really? But, you know, Greg Hackett, shout out to GHB TV. You know, I watch a lot of Greg Hackett. He's a boxer, and he's also, you know, does some coaching. But he has his own YouTube channel. Hey, since the time it started, it grew like wildfire. He used to get interviewed a lot on YSM, and then he started his own channel, and the rest is history. Very good boxing knowledge. A good brother that's, you know, doing a lot for the sport. Like I say, he still box, you know. Him and Brian Norman Sr. got a little thing they did, you know, they box. So, very respectable guy. If you want to hear, some credible boxing knowledge, hey, credible guy, But I was listening to him, man. He got a show he was doing the other night. And he kind of like shed some light on some things that made me think different about what Tim Bradley was saying. He was saying that Tim Bradley, y'all got to know he is a lot smarter than that. You know what I'm saying? And he was basically saying that this was kind of like a backdoor deal where Tim Bradley is throwing Jaron Ennis a alley hoop. Like basically, Teofimo Lopez doing all of this talking, this racist rant stuff, which really ain't cool. And Tim Bradley just in his own way say, okay, hey, I work for ESPN, you work for ESPN. Because Teofimo fight on ESPN under that top rank banner. Like, okay, I ain't gonna talk about you, but I'm gonna serve you up well to the young man that can really put a little something on you. So, it just was a different perspective. I ain't gonna get real heavy into it because it's Greg Hackett. That's his take on, you know what I'm saying? Go and watch it. Go and watch it. You know what I'm saying? Go and watch GHB TV. Subscribe to that channel. Good brother with some good boxing knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So, but, with all that being said, look, this could or could not be his take. It's whatever. But I'm going to tell you this. It is a little fishy. Like I say, Tim Bradley, Hall of Famer, just got inducted in the Hall of Fame. A brother who also has a good boxing IQ. He been in the ring, championship level boxing. Hey, he knows some boxing. He does know boxing. You might not really agree with some of his stuff as an analyst, but you can't say that Tim Bradley don't know boxing. That's the bottom line. So, with him saying stuff like a smaller guy that will be moving up in weight, that's fighting a naturally bigger guy, who is as skillful or more skillful, who is as athletic and definitely more athletic. You saying that this guy go move up and just run through this guy? Come on, man. No. Yeah, I really do believe Tim Bradley has a better boxing knowledge than that. So, it is what it is. But if the fight does happen, hey, I got boots. You know what I'm saying? 100%. Like I say, naturally bigger guy. He got good boxing knowledge, IQ, and he has a lot of skill. And a lot of people saying this, Breadman Edwards say this all the time. That's another guy I watch. Hey, I don't think we have seen the best of Ennis yet. We definitely haven't seen all of his bag. I think he's still going in his bag and we ain't seen what's in there. Listen, now Greg Hackett, those guys up in Philly, who they all frequent the same gyms or whatever. They know a lot more than what the rest of the boxing public knows, because they done seen this guy come up, they done seen him in sparring, they done seen him in the gym working. They know the guy, you know what I'm saying? So, just listening to them, how they talk about him, like, hey, look, a lot of them was saying that Stanionis fight, still saying, yeah, man, that's like a regular thing we see from Boots in Philly. That's how he put it on Stanionis. Like, man, you still ain't seen what's in his bag yet. He just bring out what he need when he need to. So I don't know. I believe that though. You can tell the young man grew up in a avid boxing environment. His brothers fought, his dad fought, and they teaching him the tricks of the trade. Philly is a boxing city anyway. Philly is a boxing city, very well respected in the boxing community. So This young man grew up, frequenting the gyms, getting the knowledge, from his brothers, his dad. You got to know that this young man not only has a high IQ, but he got a lot of tricks in his bag. Teofimo Lopez, I ain't gonna take nothing from him. He has some good fights. Now, Teofimo, he's a guy. Yeah, he has fought in the smaller weight classes, so he's naturally the smaller guy. Naturally, but Teofimo Lopez is, you got to give him credit. He does have a decent boxing IQ. He has some good wins. He has a decent resume, but he 22-1. 22-1. He does have decent power. He's listed in BoxRec as 5'9" with a 68.5-inch arm reach. But when I was looking, I did a little research, just looking, because to me, I didn't think he was 5'9". When he fought Lomachenko and their face-off, I was looking at one of their face-offs. They look like they about the same height. He might be a little taller than Lomachenko. So I looked up their tail of the tape right before their fight. You know how they flash the tail of the tape, and it has Lomachenko listed at 5'7", and they had Teofimo Lopez listed at 5'8". So yeah, he right around. That makes a little more sense. And then sometimes they put a little shine on it at the fight. He could be right around 5'7". To me, that looks more like his height. But Jaron Ennis, yeah, man, big frame guy, 5'10", 74-inch arm reach. He is not only the naturally bigger guy, he's long. And for that weight class, he's a long fighter, 74-inch arm reach. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty long, and he is a guy that knows how to use his tools. So Teo will have to be a lot more creative to close distance. You know what I'm saying? That with some of the fighters he's been fighting, in those smaller weight classes. Now, he did get the win over Taylor, who is a big frame guy for that weight class for 140, but it is what it is. Taylor is not nearly as skillful as y'all say, and what it is, slick African American boxer like Jaron Ennis. He is the epitome of a slick African American boxer. So you talking about Teo getting in the ring with him, a guy with a bigger frame, and contrary to popular belief, these guys with a bigger frame, it's a different animal when you're fighting them. And people try to compare Virgil Ortiz's fight with Marjamov to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford just don't have, he's a long guy too. He got like a 74-inch arm reach too, but he's listed right around 5'8". But that size, like that 5'10", I think, if I remember correctly, Virgil Ortiz is listed at about 5'10" too. Those guys with those bigger frames, man, it's just menacing when you in the ring with them. You know what I'm saying? They get a lot of leverage on their punches. That does make a difference. In case you don't know, these guys get a lot of leverage on their punches. And these are guys that know how to punch. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, Teofimo, yeah, that'll be an uphill battle for him. I'm not saying that Teofimo, I'm not taking no credit from him. I think he's a great fighter, but right now, I'll say he's a good fighter. That greatness thing is thrown around too much. I got to stop saying that so much. He's a good fighter. He can prove greatness, I believe. But he got work at 140. Bro, you got work at 140, man. Do your work at 140. Stop worrying about these other guys. Do that work at 140. Do your thing. You still making 140 fairly easy from what I understand. If you're not, yeah, go on and move up. But, man, look. You talking about barking up a tree like Jaron Ennis, which is, like I said, is a good fight. That is a good fight. But I don't think that's what he needs right now for his career. But a lot of people want to shut him up. A lot of people want to see him get blitzed. And hey, look, I'm going to tell you, I love to see a good shellacking every now and then. But I think that's what it'll be. If Boots Ennis get in there with him, I think it'll be a decent fight for as long as it lasts. But it could get ugly in there. I think that Boots can really take him into deep waters and drown him. Listen. It is what it is. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. This Daddy P. Like, hate, comment, subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon if you want to be notified every time it goes down. This Daddy P. I'm out.